Oh, that's not very old at all.
Lucky.
Huh?
Lucky.
Yeah, beautiful. And that's one thing I love about spotted hyena, they're so inquisitive. Now, some of you might be thinking, you thought you heard me say we're going to a spotted hyena den, and this one doesn't have any spots. It's because it's so young. They only start to get the spots around 4 months old. So we know this is definitely under 4 months old, and at a guess I'd probably say maybe about a month and a half, maybe 2 months by the size of it. It's very small. And it's very normal for them to have a den, and a female will have her pups here, and she'll come back after a night's foraging and feed them. They actually suckle for quite a long time, usually about a year and a half, up to a year and a half before they're fully weaned. But they don't tend to bring food back, although once or twice we have seen it on Wild Earth, but they're not supposed to bring food back for the pups. If I move forward a little bit more, you might get a nicer shot. I don't want to go around the other side and scare it. But if I just move forward slightly, you might get a nice view if it pops its head out again. How's that? Have you got a slightly clearer view?
Yeah.
Oh, and there's the adult there. I can just see her ears. So I think Mummy's home. We might actually be able to go around. As soon as she's here, baby might feel a little bit more comfortable. I'm just going to see if we can get a view of Mum. But I don't want to disturb her, so I'll just keep a check on how she is, but to see if I can try and get a view of her for you. I know it used to be a lot more open than trying to go in here and disturb her. There we go. Is that slightly better?
Yeah, that's quite good.
And unfortunately, spotted hyena have this bad reputation of stealing everyone's food. And yes, they do that, but they're actually very good predators in their own right. And quite often, and when film crews have come along, it's actually the hyenas trying to steal their food back. And that's probably where they got the wrong impression of the fact that hyenas scavenge a lot more than they predate. But now you can see those spots on the adult quite clearly. It would be wonderful to see that little baby coming out again. And for those of you who might just be joining us, you're here live in South Africa with spotted hyenas at a communal den by the looks of it. And we've just seen a very young baby hyena, and it was, I'd say probably about, oh, here it is again. Right on cue. Probably about a month old. It is very small, but very inquisitive. And I think that's what makes hyenas so successful, because they do have this curiosity. Oh, look at that. Actually, that one coming in looks like it could have been a youngster from a few years ago. One thing I have noticed about hyenas, they tend to get paler and the hair much shorter as they get older. You can see that one's quite fluffy, the one that's following the little baby now. Good morning, all stations. The Mbizi Kaya just off of Philemon's cut line is active. Affirmative, the Mbizi Kaya on Philemon's cut line is active. The Mbizi. I think the guys aren't used to my accent again. It's taken them a little while to understand what I'm saying. Now, if the adults aren't here, that hole that we saw the baby come out of will be its little retreat. And quite often, they would have dug a little scrape right at the back so that only the babies can get there. So if there's any danger, the babies will actually retreat right into the back of that hole so that any big animal can't get at them. And you can see it just keeps returning every so often. That's its safety net. And that hole would have originally been made by maybe an aardvark going for that, because it's actually an old termite mound. So the aardvark would have made the hole trying to get to a meal of termites, and then over the years it would have been excavated, maybe by warthog. They might have just opened it up a little bit wider, and then by the hyenas.
New Jersey. Gail from New Jersey. She'd like to know how many pups there typically are in a litter.
Good morning to you, Gail, and you must have just read my mind. I was just about to start talking about that. Well, welcome from New Jersey. And Gail was wanting to know how many pups they might have. And typically it's usually around 2, although I have read they could have up to 3. Now, as I was saying as we're approaching... Oh, hello, what's going on? You see the mother's got her ears picked up. She's stretching to see what's happening. She might have just caught the scent of something. Nope. But it pays to be on the lookout. And a pup that size is vulnerable to anything. And that's very true for any carnivore. They're small, they can be vulnerable to eagles, they could be vulnerable to snakes. The rules of the bush: if you're bigger, then you get to eat more. If you're smaller, you could become someone's meal. So stay safe, little one. But as I was saying earlier, the spotted hyena can be very aggressive, and even at that age, you might even get siblicide, so the baby's actually killing each other. And it tends to happen if it's 2 females. The rivalry is so strong. The more dominant female might end up killing the other female, even if it's just by stopping them getting to the teat to get milk. If it's a male and female, there doesn't seem to be as much rivalry because the male is quite submissive. And if it's 2 males, the same sort of thing, they're very submissive. So there doesn't seem to be that rivalry, but if there's the 2 females, very strong rivalry. And I wonder if this one isn't a little female, because it looks like it could be just the one. We haven't seen a second pup yet. But now looking at the size, yeah, I really don't think it's older than a month. And it's so exciting to have a little one, it's so precious. It is starting to get a little bit drizzly, so we're just putting the raincoat on the camera.
Is what's a kid going to learn from someone who decided that his best option in life?
I'm actually just going to see if we can't roll back a little bit and just see the other... cub. I think it must have been maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Can you see them a little bit better? You can see them playing.
Yeah, that's good.
And with this little pup being so inquisitive, that also backs up my theory that it might be a female as well.
that den. So it might be the same family that den and now it's another couple.
Okay, that's some interesting information coming through. Thanks, Pete. I'm not sure who the information came from, but apparently there's a den that Peter Pretorius found. I'm not sure where, but there was a very young cub that side. So it could be part of the same family. Now, the age of this little pup, it might be the same. I'm not sure how long ago Peter found it, but it could be the same.
That was in November.
November.
Already a month more old at the time.
Oh, okay. So it was in November and probably about a month old. So this won't be the same pup. They grow very rapidly. But they say that the family members could be connected. And maybe that pup is still around. It could be at this den. Maybe we're just not seeing it. I haven't been around to the other side of the den. But we didn't see anything as we came in. And with the adults being around this hole, I'd say this is the active side of it. So it might be worth us checking out the other hyena dens and just seeing. So this one might be where she's given birth. This one might be the solitary one. And she might take it to a communal one as the pup gets older. Because say if she moves it too early, the pup could be in danger of being killed by the other pups, especially if she's a lower ranking female. So if it's the pups of the matriarch, no one will touch them, but if it's a lower ranking female, she does have to be careful. So she'll make sure the pup grows a lot larger before she moves it to a communal den. And maybe that's what's happening here. Yeah, look how boisterous it's playing. I would say that's definitely a little female. And what's really interesting is that females have got so much testosterone in their body, the male hormone. They actually have genitalia that looks like a male's. So it's very difficult to tell a male and a female apart just by looking at it. And that's really quite amazing. So, and that's why people think they're hermaphrodites, that they have the ability to be male and female, but that's not the case. They just look like a male from the genitalia. And that's one thing I'd love to see is mating hyenas, because that must be very awkward. Hyenas might not be your favourite animal, but how can you not love to see that little baby? I remember when we did have a hyena baby, it was 3 years ago, I think it got nicknamed Teddy, and I think that helped to melt a lot of hearts who didn't like hyenas at the beginning. But I think they're very misunderstood creatures, and highly intelligent actually. Can you see it still nicely, or she'll try and move back a little bit again?
Maybe a little bit.
Let's see if we can move back a little bit. I think from what I could see, it was grabbing the ear of the older the older animal, sort of throwing it around like a dog would a bone. I must admit, I would not like to be on the end of those teeth. Little needles. There you go. Going to Mum for reassurance. I'm sure she'll go back to what looks to be the older sibling. There we go. I don't know if are you hearing the hyenas? Slightly. There's this really low that I think the adult the baby's playing with is giving. It's almost like a reassurance that and actually, when it's got its head down, that's what it's doing it. And quite often when there's a contact call, they'll call into the ground so it amplifies the sound. So when they do that low, I would say it might just be too low for the microphone to pick up. He's really getting a spring in his step, eh?
like to know what that bird is that they can hear calling in the background.
Good morning, was it Gwendolyn from California? Welcome on board this morning. And you're hearing a bird in the background. I've been so focused on the hyenas. I've just been enjoying just watching them. I've actually phased out any sounds. It's quite amazing. The bird that is calling in the background that I think you are picking up is the oriole. It's just behind us in the tree. Black-headed oriole. Kind of going... Oh, that was very bad, wasn't it? Wet my whistle a little bit. Let's try that one again. Getting better. But I think that's the one. That's the only one that I've just focused in on now. There was a black-crowned chegra off in the distance. He kind of whistles like someone who's had too much to drink and is trying to whistle a tune and can't quite get the tune. It kind of goes. Oh dear, my whistling's really bad this morning. And the woodlands kingfisher's just starting to join the chorus now as well. Chip chirr. I can do that one. It doesn't involve whistling this morning. I was having a very nice conversation with the black-headed oriole just as we were setting up the vehicle. He had a lot to say. Nope. There, she's calling again. I wonder if you're picking it up.
Some viewers are wondering the younger hyena of the two, whether that could be the cub that Peter saw in November, so when he was a bit more, like,
Oh, okay.
or is it too big to be that young?
So some people are wondering if the other, probably older sibling could be the cub from November, October time, or is it too big? And yeah, it is a little bit too big. Yeah, you'd be looking at, what, a 4-month-old pup, which would just be having its spots. It would be like a miniature version of the adult, so it would be probably about, I know it's difficult to really get the size understanding, but probably about 3 times, maybe 4 times bigger than the little one that we've just been seeing. So this one's almost adult size. I wonder what's going on. I'm going to actually reverse and just see if we can't see around the other side of the den. Something's going on between those 2 adults. See if we can get a clearer view of them again. So I think this sub-adult that we're seeing is probably about a 2, 3, maybe, yeah, 2 or 3 year old. And wow, the vegetation's really grown on. That was fairly bare where they were. That was one of the main holes, I think, somewhere around there, and we were seeing the cubs, or pups. I think it's interchangeable, actually. pugs and cubs. Pups and cubs. Because hyenas have actually been messed around a little bit in the whole taxonomy. So they were originally classified as dogs, and you can see why. Originally, the classification was based a lot on the looks of animals, and you can see they do look like a dog. They've got that long nose, the muzzle does look like a dog, the ears, the rounded ears. Even the claws are out constantly. Now with cats, the claws actually get retract so that they get protected and they stay sharp. But they have been changed from being in the dog suborder to the cat suborder. And it's all to do with what's going on inside the skull. There's a few similarities between the skulls of true cats and hyenas, and that's why they've been reclassified as or part of the cat order. So I think that's why you can use cubs or pups. Oh, that was just magical, hey? And the weather looks like it's starting to lift a little bit. Yeah, hello. Sounds like the guys are following tracks of lions somewhere up towards the gate. It sounds like the Birmingham Pride may have passed through, so I'll keep my ear to the ground, but it sounds like they may have gone west or north from there. Oh, that is too precious. Oh, I'm certainly going to look forward to actually catching up with it in the next 2 weeks. But shall we take this opportunity while the weather is lifting, see if we can go and find anything else for you this morning? That really was wonderful, but I'm sure we'll be back to visit over the course of the 2 weeks. Thank you very much, ladies, for letting us view your little one for a little while.